So let's imagine your e-commerce store is just about to launch a new product line. You have pictures of people using the product on your store, you've been promoting the product launch on Instagram and Facebook organically, and you're just about to start launching some paid traffic campaigns to hopefully get people on your website and generate more sales. Well, before you jump in, there are 4 metrics that you must keep in mind that will determine how successful your campaigns are going to be and if it's feasible for you to run campaigns at all. Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Jack. I'm the founder here at Scenarius. We're a marketing agency based in London that helps e-commerce brands set up effective marketing campaigns on Facebook and Instagram. And in this video, I'm going to cover 4 metrics that you must know before you start running any paid traffic campaigns in order to assess how successful your campaign is going to be and if there's anything else that you need to do before you start running your paid traffic campaign. So the first key metric that you must know before you start running any sort of paid traffic campaigns is your break-even return on ad spend. What that number represents is how much return you must get on every dollar you spend in order to break even. To calculate this value, you must know your average gross margin per product sold, and this represents essentially the cost of goods sold along with shipping and delivery. You don't really account for your fixed cost here because selling an extra product does not affect your fixed cost. So we're only looking at variable cost. So here's how you actually calculate your break-even return on ad spend. So let's say you have an average margin of 60%. So what that represents is 60% of the product sold is going to be a profit, and 40% is going to represent the cost of actually producing that good as well as delivering it to the customer. To calculate your break-even return on ad spend, you would simply 1 over 60%, and that will give you 1.67 return on ad spend. So every dollar you spend on Facebook, you must generate $1.67 back in order to break even. Anything above that, so let's say you're getting a 2 times return on ad spend, then you're profitable. And that's a really key thing to know, because then you can turn off any ads that are below that number to make sure that you're staying profitable across your entire campaign. This also allows us to demonstrate why having a high profit margin is really important in e-commerce, because let's say you're selling a product and your average margin on that product is around 20%. So 20% profit per product sold, then your break even becomes 1 over 20%, which is 5 times return on ad spend, which is, as you very well know, is really difficult to achieve. And I mean, this is 5 times returns on ad spend just to break even. If you want to be profitable, you need to get higher than that, which in my opinion is quite difficult. The second metric that you must keep in mind before you start running paid traffic campaigns is your average order value or your average cart value. It's important to get grips with your average order value before running any sort of paid traffic campaigns, because this will impact 2 things: how much warming up your audience is going to need before they purchase your product, and the second thing it's going to determine is how much are you willing to spend to acquire that customer. If you are a Shopify user, you'll find your average order value on your Shopify dashboard. I'll put up an example of it right here. Now, why is this important? As I said, your average cart value is going to determine 2 things. The first thing it's going to determine is how much money are you willing to spend to acquire a customer, known as your cost per acquisition. For example, if your order value is around $50 and you have 60% margins, that means you can only spend $30 to acquire a customer. Anything more than that, then you're starting to lose money on that customer. One thing to mention here as well is, along with your average order value, you might want to consider your lifetime value of a customer. And that's really important when you tend to have recurring customers that come back to your store and buy more than once. But in the case that you're only having customers purchase once or twice, you want to stick to your average order value as the main metric to assess what your cost per acquisition can be. The second thing this determines is how much warming up your audience needs before they essentially make a purchasing decision. For example, if your average order value is above $150, it's unlikely that a potential customer is just going to purchase just from seeing one ad. So it's going to require multiple touch points with that customer, perhaps with multiple marketing messages as well, to get them across the line. So let's say, for example, you're selling home gym equipment that's at least $1,000 to $2,000. No one's going to really impulse buy that. They're not just going to go in your store, see the product and buy it from one time. They're likely going to see the marketing message, click on it, view your website, have a think about it, go on YouTube, watch a few reviews, and then maybe see another ad talking about the different features of the product, and then they're going to go ahead and make a purchasing decision. So that's going to cost you more in terms of advertising because you've had to create multiple touch points with that customer. So a general rule of thumb when it comes to cost per clicks for Facebook ads, you should aim to have at least an average order value of 50. If your products are lower than that, you can definitely consider running ads to different bundle offers. So let's say your average order value is around $25. If you create a bundle that's around $40 to $50, you're going to be able to spend a little bit more on the advertising costs, and it's just going to give you more room to breathe to acquire more customers and more audiences on the platform. Now, that's not to say that you can't run ads when you have an average order value that's less than $50. It just becomes a little bit more challenging, and you need to be a little bit more creative on how you get people to purchase. One thing you could do if you do have an average order value that's less than 50 and you can't in any way create a bundle or an offer, is you want to try to start running retargeting ads in the beginning, just so you can get people in through the door at a much lower cost per click than it would be per se targeting cold audiences, for example. The third metric that we're going to talk about today is your online store conversion rate. That's the number of people who visit your store divided by the number of people who actually end up making a purchase as a percentage. Again, if you're a Shopify user, you'll just find that on your dashboards. And this statistic shows you two things. First, are the people who are actually visiting the store the type of people that are actually going to buy your products and are interested in buying your products? And how well your website is at converting people who visit their website into actual paying customers. The average conversion rate for e-commerce stores across all industries is around 1.8%, but you should aim to have it above 2% at least to say that your store is optimized for conversions. You definitely want to have your online store conversion rate as high as possible. There's no point in paying money for Facebook, Pinterest, or whatever platform you're launching paid traffic to, getting them to your website if your website is not actually converting them into paying customers. If you do have a low conversion rate, let's say below 1.8%, some of the things you want to consider is your website load speed. So even if your website looks really good, if it takes a few seconds to load, that could be enough to deter a lot of people from continuing to shop on your website. The second thing is mobile friendliness. A lot of people actually shop on their mobile devices. If I'm not mistaken, it's actually more than people who actually shop on desktop. So make sure that you have a mobile friendly website as well. The third thing is just the general customer experience and how easy it is to find the products and navigate on the site. The third thing is the product photography. Do you have professionally produced and packaged products on your store, showcased in a really nice and aesthetic way? Do you have all the product descriptions written down correct? Does it have all the information that a customer would need to actually make a purchasing decision? For example, if you're selling furniture, you would want to have the dimensions of that piece of furniture on the store to make sure people are able to assess whether that would work for their needs. Finally, do you have any reviews? Do you have any social proof? Do you have any PR campaigns that you've run with different established magazines, for example, which makes users essentially trust your store and trust your brand by seeing that other people actually have interest in the brand and think highly of it. The fourth and final metric that we're going to talk about today, and it's one that I don't see many people paying attention to, is actually your abandoned cart rate. That essentially is the percentage of people who actually add an item to their cart on your e-commerce store but don't end up purchasing. The average abandoned cart rate across most e-commerce stores is around 69%, so you want to be aiming to have yours lower than that. If your abandoned cart rate is above 69%, here's a few things that you can consider doing to try to lower that number. The first thing is currency conversion. If you're selling abroad or internationally, you want to make sure it's easy for your customers to see what the prices are in their home currency, and that's gonna decrease your average cart abandon rate. Secondly, you want to see if there's any way to reduce your delivery charge. There's a huge incentive to actually wrap up your delivery charge along with the cost of the product. That way, it's psychologically easier for people to buy a product that has free delivery on it. Let's say your customer is interested in your product and they kind of made the purchasing decision to buy your product at a certain price. When they're suddenly surprised with an extra delivery fee, they start re-questioning the purchase and are much more likely to abandon the cart. Finally, just make sure that the checkout process is quick and easy. Even have other people go through it in front of you to see if there's any hitches in the sales funnel. Do they have to create an account before they actually make a purchase? Is there any way to make them check out as a guest to make checking out easier? And just simple things like that within the actual user experience of the checkout process is a sure way to decrease your abandoned cart rate. And that's it for this week's video, guys. These are the 4 metrics you need to know before you start running any sort of paid traffic campaigns to your e-commerce store. If you did enjoy this video and found it useful, make sure to give us a like and a subscribe. We're trying to grow the channel. You'll also really enjoy the other videos we made a few weeks back. One of them was the 5 core drivers of e-commerce, where we covered digital ads, email marketing, influencer marketing, conversion rate optimization, as well as product development. So there's a ton of information in there. I'll leave a link in the cards to go check that video out as well. If there's any videos that you want to suggest to us, make sure to leave a comment down below what you found useful in this video, as well as what type of content you'd like to see from the channel, and we'll be sure to get back to you on that.